Here's my ck2610. Some black dirt, a lot of junk dirt over there. A lot of junk dirt down here in general. There's a lot of down stumps, that's why I don't mow it out real fine down here. But I got a giant hill here that I'm probably gonna dig some material out, fill in some stuff. But I need a lot of black dirt up in my yard. And this stuff just, it's not, I mean, there's a lot of impurities in there. So when we built this screen, this is like 80 inches high. It's like 80 inches high right there. So we built that, it's 80 inches high roughly. And that's enough to clear the bucket, don't get me wrong. So if you're gonna build one, you're gonna wanna go like 60 or something, 60 inches high here. And the angle doesn't matter, it's not a big deal. I mean, basically, my stuff's so clean, it just kind of falls right through. But, so what we did is we built it, and we chalked out, we put this on the inside to give it more strength, because the outside, put on the outside, you're not gonna have a lot of residual strength. Inside it's holding it on two planes. Inside is holding it on two planes. Put on the outside, so that's bad. So we blocked it out to put this brace on there. I'm gonna add a brace up here across eventually when I got two people. Build a brace across, you know, underneath there to give it some more strength. Maybe even chalk a couple boards in here. But this wire is the problem right now. This wire is just some cheap chicken wire, and it's kind of falling apart here. I've only done like 6-8 buckets, so the Fleet Farm store that wasn't open when I bought these materials, because I work all the time, wasn't open or whatever. I couldn't get heavier gauge stuff. So tomorrow I'm gonna take this chicken wire off and put some heavier stuff in there, because right now it bows right here. It bows in here. I'll show you what I mean. I mean, it's working fine for what I'm doing right now, and I could use it forever, but my time is priceless. I need everything to work smoothly. So but yeah, I mean, it's doing a good job. I'm gonna rescreen this. You know, a lot of this stuff's pretty good still. I'll rescreen it. A lot of this stuff is just black dirt, you know, just from having to knock it off. But I'll show you here in a second. I left a gap here. I guess I probably shouldn't have done that, but I can throw a 2x in here at some point. I can throw a 2x in there. I don't plan on getting it that high, but I'll end up rescreening this probably a couple of times. And this stuff's turned out real nice. And there's some little sticks and stuff in there, but that's acceptable because there's this giant hole. Mostly it's to get the brush and stuff out of there. But there's a Kioti. And I did a previous video and I talked about how this hood latch is garbage. But this hood latch, that's it, it'll pop it open. So just a little pop right there. A stick got in there, and I talked about this, how a stick got in there and wrecked this piece. I went ahead and had the dealer order me this piece. I had them order me this because I thought it was like 10 bucks. This piece right here, this piece, this little bit of metal is $70. It's $70. That's my beef with this hood latch. Easy to pop. I've had it hop open a bunch of times. And this piece right here, it's not perfectly aligned. You got to adjust it yourself. So a Velcro strap that went from there to here would be a much better design. Much better design. So instead, I've gotten pretty good now with it, but you gotta, oh, didn't latch. See, didn't latch. Oh, there it latched. There it latched. Anyway, so they also said I wasn't an engineer, so I don't know what a good design is. So I guess you can just ignore that I'm not an engineer and I don't know what I'm talking about a good design and transmission. So apparently the world of YouTube is an idiot, but that's fine. Yeah. So I still am not super happy with it. It does the job. It's whatever. A lot of people get held up about what attachments to buy. I bought a cheap 5-foot king cutter box split. Unless you're doing this stuff commercially or you've got a 700-mile driveway to maintain, this king cutter will outlast me. I've got a cheap king cutter box or king cutter rake or brush hog that I used to mow all this. I paid like 400 bucks for it. Yeah, the wheels bent and some other stuff, but I'm gonna tell you, somebody had a question about how much I paid for this tractor. These tractors are basically 18 grand. That's basically the gist of it. They're 18 grand. Doesn't matter who you go to. Doesn't matter what you do, they're 18 grand. Now, what isn't the same with everybody is the attachments and all the other stuff you get with them. You gotta rev these suckers up. I'm gonna do this, then I'll shut it off and I'll talk to you more about what I paid for it. But it doesn't matter who you go through. Anyway, I'll show you what I'm talking about with that rollback angle. So in theory, it should go over that, which I didn't think of this either. So right there. See that? Now, nope, we're a little bit on it. We're up again. top part really isn't doing a whole lot. That's what I'm talking about. That chicken wire just sags too much in the middle. Anyway, I'm pretty happy with this. I'll modify it. I mean, it's not meant to be a perfect thing. So I'll shut her off now. 161 hours, no big deal. Anyway, so like I was saying, you know, these 3M work tunes, these things are amazing. If you're wondering about what work tunes or what earmuffs to get, I don't even play music in them. They're just comfortable. A lot of hearing protection is a joke. A lot of it's uncomfortable. So yeah, this stuff just sags too much in the middle. So I just take a stick and I push it out today. Like I said, tomorrow I'll grab some stuff. These tractors, I mean, they're 18 grand. Doesn't matter who you buy it from, what you do, what you sell it for. They're pretty much 18 grand. It doesn't matter. The thing is, I'll throw in like the floor mat. I paid for the floor mat. It was like 120 bucks. Get it. I bought it at like 30 hours and it was already scuffing up my floor quite a bit, especially in the center. I'm not going to peel it all the way up. These things are, they snap in real nice until they don't. So like a lot of dealers will say 18 grand, but they'll throw in the floor mat and they'll load your tires. Well, tire loading is like 300 bucks, so they're 18 grand. $300 for throwing in rear ballast that's not really a discount to me, unless you take the cash option. They said the one guy commented on my other video, these things are chintzy. Why I don't like them? That's way out there. That's way out there. Doesn't take long. I broke two the first time I was brush hogging. I broke this one the first day and I broke that one like a week later. The seats, I like the seat. I think it's a good seat. I hope it doesn't peel. A lot of guys have them peel and they start peeling up here, down here, and they tear, and it's just garbage. I haven't had that problem, but I've been seeing a lot of guys in Coyote groups saying that they're having an issue getting parts, and Kubota and Deere groups are having problems getting parts and stuff too. So take it with a grain of salt. They're all imported. They all are. But one other thing I didn't mention in my last video, this front axle, it doesn't take long. You'll ram a stump up in there, especially using these things out in the woods, and you'll bend that. They're really easy to grease. There's a couple grease zerks down here, then on the other side. There's a zerk under the clutch. There's a zerk back here for the 3-point, which I want to get a hydraulic top link. I bent this top link. And there's a zerk way up in there. You probably can't see it. It's for the throw lever for the 3-point. So 1, 2, yeah, there's 5 zerks on this. On these loaders, if you got a loader, when that clock hits a 6-0, a 7-0, a 10, a 1-0, every 10 hours grease the whole thing. Doesn't matter. Grease it. Grease is cheap. These pins, I'm sure these pins are 70, 80 bucks a piece from Coyote. So just grease it. Grease is cheap. I over grease mine. I'll grease mine when it doesn't need it just cause. So anyway, back to the dirt screener. Works great. Works good. So the price of these things, I mean, what they get for them, they could put like a couple $100 in parts and R&R and redesign a couple of things. Like this brush guard. I mean, I said this in my last video. There really should be a way from the factory to mount a nice brush guard up there that really protects that front end. That's chintzy plastic. Chintzy. Nothing will get there. A stick will get there and break it. And to tow these things, I welded a hook on mine. I know a lot of guys will weld a D-ring right there. That's cool if you're not using the loader a lot. A D-ring up there, because you're fighting these arms. You're fighting them. You got to get that strap up around in there. It's a joke. I guess my trailer, I mean, someone might have a stake pocket somewhere right in here where you can go right to that D-ring, but do yourself a favor and put a D-ring up there. And then these tractors come with a drawbar, and I take it out because I've been brush hogging quite a bit, but then put a clevis in there, a little hook. And then even with a box plate or brush hog or whatever you got, you can still usually get to that. So these things don't weigh a ton. You just need one chain up in front, one chain in the back. They're pretty simple, especially that you chain down. I have a CDL. I tow mine in a 16+2. Maybe I'll go up there and show you my trailer and a couple other things, but